Hello and a very warm welcome to the brand new edition of Policy Watch. I'm Kriti Mishra. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, in her maiden budget speech, said that the Indian Railways will use public-private partnership model for faster development, rolling stock manufacturing and the delivery of freight. Railways will need 50 lakh crore rupees between 2018 to 2030 to complete the sanctioned projects. Finance Minister gave Indian Railways the highest ever outlay for capital expenditure, amounting to 1.6 lakh crore rupees and a budgetary allocation of 65,837 crore rupees. The railways would invest more in suburban railways through special purpose vehicle like Rapid Regional Transport System. Railways is also expected to launch a massive station modernization plan this year. And to get deeper insights on the topic, I'm joined by Mr. Arunendra Kumar, former Chairman, Railway Board, Mr. Prempal Sharma, former Executive Director, Railway Board, and Mr. Ganpati Subramaniam, Chief of Bureau, Puthiya Thalai Murai. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, all of you. Mr. Kumar, let me come to you first. Your take on Finance Minister's announcement amid government's call for wider participation and investment by private sector.
See, Indian Railways and the Indian government have promoted private investment in Indian Railways for quite some time. And every time they start a process, they find there is a roadblock. Industry wants something more. You start all over again, they want something else. The point is that the government by itself cannot put in the amount of money which the projects need. So you got to depend on somebody else, and loan has a limit. You can't borrow more than what it is. So you got to have some kind of participation. Going into history, there have been a lot of success stories. Of course, there have been failures as well. The biggest PPP model which has ever come anywhere in the world is in India, or rolling stock. For two types of locomotives, the diesel locomotive and the electric locomotive at Marora and Madhepura. And they will be rolled out very soon, the best in the technology in the world. That has just recently happened in the current government regime. Other projects, we have seen one station is coming up at Habibganj near Bhopal.
Yes.
And then there are projects in port connectivity. A lot of ports want connectivity, and the Indian Railways have offered them help in the form of various types of policies that you lay a line, we'll buy the land for you, or you buy the land yourself, do some revenue sharing, we'll give you locomotives, coaches, you pay us some money for that, you run passenger trains for the people there so that everything gets accepted. And that is a very big success. On almost all the ports, you see Dharma port in Odisha, you see Dahej port in Gujarat, Adani, and you had initially government port like JNPT only, which used to talk when we joined the railways. But now you have a string of private ports, Krishnapatnam port and things of that sort. Then there came the container train operators. It was a mixed success, more towards the failure part on the operator's side. They could not visualize that what are the risks involved. But the government, the PSU Container Corporation is doing pretty well, and it's very well listed in the market, also very well respected company. So container train operations. Now we are trying for private freight terminals. That is like in a very crude term that anybody can come to a terminal and load his wagon and train, and you pay something to the person who owns that facility. So that is a private freight terminal. So all these areas, because growth has to come very fast, and this is the only way that if you don't have the money, then you ask somebody. And what the finance minister mentioned also was that you need 50 lakh crore, 5 trillion. You are giving railways 1.6, which means 30 years. Are you going to wait for 30 years by looking only at the government? No. So that all right, we invite private participation. Now you have to keep on modifying your policies so that doesn't look out as a sellout by the government that everything being sold to the behest of the private player. No. You have to take a lot of precautions that the country's backbone is not just it totally remains more strengthened, more firm, whereas we deliver the fruits. You see the bullet train project. Yes. It is a combination of India and Japan's strength. It will not come from a private player, but you are getting money from someone. This is from the Japanese JICA loan agency. 1.08 lakh crore. Who is going to invest that kind of money? Over a period of 5 years, 10 years, and then repayment start after 12 years, the grace period, and then over a 50-year period. So that kind of thing is just not possible. It's not small, you buy a car, you lay a road. No. You are very big projects, and you talk of 100 stations being taken for redevelopment, and you say rolling stock, we should have aluminum coaches, RRTS. The first line is not of course on PPT, but next 2 lines will be on PP model. So there is a big, what should I say, interest outside the government sector in the railway sector transport sector looking towards railways, that what can we cash on.
Absolutely. So the gestation period is very long.
Yes.
And of course, the success depends on the kind of implementation that we have. I'll also take that to Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, what were the sectors open to PPP in Indian Railways so far, and how has been the experience?
No, actually, I will repeat that the same story being criticized by the opposition when they were started by themselves. For example, now 30 years we are going to complete.
Yes.
The liberalization, we all started in many areas. Initially started with public-public that partnership like Delhi Metro, Konkan Railway, and then on some other areas also. Now look at what the finance minister has. Now the railway budget is the part of the main budget. So 50 lakh crore means every year in 10 to 12 years, 5 lakh crore every year. Now we have our finance only 1.5. So there is a gap of 3.5. Now you see the difference. When I refer to liberalization, that privatization, globalization, that LPG. Now the public expectations are much higher. Our generation is moving all over world. They see different facilities. They no longer can be in those days when the third class and there was no toilet. So now your specific question, the facilities. Now
Yes.
suppose we are, as our minister rightly said, we are not going in the hospitality sector. We will this railway will continue in that the core areas, transportation. Hospital sectors can be given to the private parties. For example, catering, some other facilities, though I am not in favor of that massage or everything. So that part can be taken over. We cannot now, if you see the thrust of this government, 5 trillion economy. Now the main area where this ministry has to invest is water, rivers, education, health sector, where from money will come. If we increase fare, hue and cry. So, and we want to come up to the expectation with the public with the more facilities. Now everybody wants, our competition is with the air as well as the car industry. So, and we want to increase our share of freight as well as passenger. So now until unless we improve our facilities. So now question is, as per expectation for any democratic government, they have to come up with those expectations. So now how to get that? Now money, as rightly our chairman sir pointed out,
Yes.
We cannot borrow the money. So now the good incentive can be asking people that the companies to invest and then take advantage of that. Their management, their the skill combined with the railway skill and the experience, they can work together. And now this government seems there is no hesitation. So far, our journey has been very, as rightly pointed out, many blocks. Our unions has to understand. We have to change the same because our public has changed. Now their expectations, but we have to be careful. We have to be cautious. Now, for example, now management consultants are there for the quality control.
Yes.
They have to be very careful. Simply, this is opportunity for railways also to take advantage of that, plus opportunity for private sector. But no doubt, bureaucracy, our Indian Railway, which is the core sector, they have to take control of that. That is not the only for sake of profit or the passengers' fare. That should not be. So we have to be very cautious, and I think this will be in the public interest.
We have to be very cautious. And Mr. Kumar, you wanted to make a point.
What I want to say, you're saying that what areas should we offer and what dissenting voices you mentioned. See, let us say something cannot be offered right now. What is that? The loco pilot job, the one who drives the locomotive. I just cannot privatize today because that doesn't serve me any purpose. The guard at the end of the train doesn't serve any purpose. The station master at the moment, because these are very highly skilled jobs and you need a lot of training and a lot of flexibility. Suppose that today I don't differentiate when a pilot reaches, he takes another train. We don't look at whether the train he is fit to drive the train. You have a category of Mail Express, Shatabdi and Rajdhani, and the Shatabdi train, he takes any Shatabdi. Only he has to know the road, where are the signals located and all that. So we will not be able to, we cannot privatize that. We
Yes.
cannot privatize safety.
Yes.
We cannot privatize the signaling systems. We cannot offer the code for reservations that we give to passenger services. So let us not get into that which we cannot privatize. That core will remain with the railways. But there are a lot of why you want to privatize? That is first basic thing is that you are expensive. And if you privatize, the quality will improve and you will become cheaper. You cannot raise fares because of social comparisons. We are losing 36,000 crores every year because of subsidies. And we have to break even through in passenger services. So how do you do that? Reduce your cost. The expenditure side is constant because the government says that you will pay so much if you are a government employee. But if you are in a private sector, it is demand driven.
Yes.
Today you have 10 people, tomorrow you have 50 people, and after that you may have 4 people, 10 people. It depends how the economy goes. So it's a very much big indicator of the markets thing working out. So there will be some, that's how you learn. You offload something, see how it happens. You see track laying today, we were laying about hardly 800 kilometers of track. We are laying now 5,000. You see electrification, 800 kilometers, we are doing now 10,000, 9,000 kilometers. How it has happened? There's no magic. You have to involve the industry, listen to them and do the job.
And take economically prudent decisions.
Yeah, obviously you have, everything comes back to where is your money going and is it coming back? Because if you spend and you don't know how to take it back, then you're not a fit person to run this place.
Right, I'll get in Mr. Subramaniam. Mr. Subramaniam, around 28,000 crore is expected to flow from private sector. Of course, that includes redevelopment of stations also. But do you foresee substantial jump in private investment post-budget announcement?
Definitely, there is no other way available to Indian Railways right now. Therefore, I feel that the government has put the railways and also the other infrastructure sectors on the right path, because only with private investment we can look at growth of the type that will match the requirements of our country. Very soon we are going to overtake China in our population. Until date, the primary mode of transport for most people in the country and the most affordable mode of transport happens to be the railways.
Yes.
Therefore, railways has to grow at a rapid pace to match our requirements. And when we are talking about an economy that has got a very ambitious target, how can that growth happen without the basic infrastructure? We need goods to move to our ports and also our people to travel from one place to another. Without that, growth is not possible. And at the same time, there is also aspiration aspect of it. People have a lot of aspirations. They want the services to improve, etc. For all this, if you depend only on government investment, then there is a limitation beyond which you can't grow. Only if you invite private investment, and that too in good measure, then the growth of this type, the type that is required, is possible. And we have seen successful PPP models. You have referred to it earlier. In the road sector, we have some beautiful highways today,
Yes.
which was not possible to imagine, say maybe 20 years back. How did those roads happen? It is not all because of government investment. Many of them have happened because of private investment. Similar thing can happen in railways, and railways have very good resources in terms of land, in terms of the infrastructure that they already have, etc. They can be put to maximum use to attract private investment, and that can induce growth. So maybe we are not looking at, say, profit or any other short term goal, but the long term growth of fueling the economy's growth and meeting the aspirations of the people. That is where I feel that the finance minister as well as the railway minister have put the railways on the right track, on the right focus.
Absolutely, the focus is right and also the direction is right. But Mr. Kumar, tell us, how important is PPP model for augmentation of infrastructure of railways and also decongestion of railways?
See, today, let's put it like this. We want to drive Audi in Chandni Chowk. Audi can run by itself at a speed of 200 to 250 kilometers an hour. But you don't have a path.
Yes.
So today, the locomotive can run at 180 easily, 200 or some upgraded locomotives. Similarly, the coaches can run at 160, 180. What are we running? 80 kilometers, 90 kilometers. Rajdhani from Delhi to Mumbai, 1392 kilometers, takes 17 hours. Why should it take? Because there is a train ahead, there is a train behind, and you are moving everybody. We are moving passenger train, suburban train, freight train, express train, as also Rajdhani, one after the other. It's like saying that on Chandni Chowk street, बैलगाड़ी, rickshaw or auto and car, ये सब चलेंगे, but you must achieve speed because you have Audi. It's not possible. So what is required today is to develop line capacity. You have all other resources, and what the government has done, this dedicated freight corridor is going to generate that capacity.
Yes.
Basically, it's a new line, 3,200 kilometers new line. So you are shifting a big amount of freight, and the biggest freight PPP model again with Japan and World Bank, shifting them to a separate line which cannot take private passenger trains. All freight trains will shift to the extent they can take. And they have been designed for long distance running at high speeds without stoppages. Like you take a Delhi metro, one after other. There is no change of track. One train cannot come on the other side. But Indian Railways, no, you start from platform 1, then you see on platform 7, then you go to platform 12. You can keep on crisscrossing. So what will happen? It's complete mess because you have crisscrossed so much. So you got to think that they cannot be crisscrossing, and the path must be available for that. High speed, how are you getting high speed Mumbai Ahmedabad? Separate track, no disturbance. Once you start, then the train ahead will not disturb your path. You achieve your maximum permissible speed of 350 kilometers an hour and run through. Nobody is going to stop you, except if there is a boulder on track, some obstruction on track, or some or weather is not kind that you can't see, and to the extent that there is likely to be damage, you can't see it as a material because the systems are so well designed. So we have to generate capacity, and that is what is important. How do you generate capacity? You have to borrow money, or ask somebody. If suppose somebody comes today that I will lay a passenger track from Delhi to Mumbai, and we will help you as a government to procure land.
Yes.
Then I suppose there will be so many takers for this, and after you lay, then you have a track access charge. Like dedicated freight corridor, it has got a track access charge. Anybody can run a freight train, pay the track access charge and run. So there's a big role, and we have understood this fact that we got to create land capacity to generate faster travel. And once you move faster, you can come back again and pick it up again. Your requirement goes down for rolling stock. People can move. You have a train every hour, let us say to Mumbai or to Lucknow, 1 hour every day. So the train will come back and go. So you don't have to worry that whether I'll get this train or not this train. There's only one train. So there'll be kind of pull and push and rush to get tickets and all those things. So there's a very big opportunity. Our policies should get aligned to that we have to do this way, and we must support such infrastructure.
The private sector has said that the norms are very difficult and there are rules that are very stringent. How can the government make the entire process very seamless to attract private investors?
So far, these were the impressions. Now, as you are already aware, government is already thinking of liberalizing labor laws.
Yes.
Some reforms in labor laws. I think the ease of business also we have improvement. These are some incentives. Some other incentives are being given so that they can invest as much as possible. Only if labor laws are in the interest of the both public as well as private, plus ease of business, I think things will. And I would like to add few more points. If you see the important area where the highest investment will come, freight corridor is one. Our priorities are for the rapid railway transport like Delhi, so that the maximum, so that the capacity building is there. Other area, urban transports, doubling, tripling, plus some already investment already there in the production units. So after this capacity building, then LSW and that train 18, I think all these areas we require more and more investment. Once this is there, capacity will be there, as you rightly point out. Now for going to Bombay, it is only one Rajdhani. There may be, if capacity is more, then more Rajdhani can be there, because there is a demand. I think the best part with India is, as well as relations with railway, that demand is there and we are not able to complete that. So I think after this investment, hopefully we will succeed.
But there's another major concern, sir, and that is that Indian Railways is both the operator as well as a regulator, and the private sector has been clamoring for establishment of an independent regulator.
The government has already set up independent regulators for various sectors, including telecom, aviation, etc. And it is possible for the government to do a similar setup for railway also. But as of now, the difference is that the railway is a kind of monopoly. There is no competition. We are yet to see competition in this sector. So as and when we get competition, it is possible to bring in a regulator, etc. As of now, since it is a monopoly and it's primarily government driven, therefore there was no greater need felt for that kind of regulation in this area, because the railway sets the fare and if you want to check whether the fares are okay or not, probably most of the time you will find the fares are below cost. So especially the except the AC first class, etc., the others are all subsidized. Everybody knows that. So therefore, there is no major larger problem with that. But yes, when the private sector people come in, their primary concern would be whether they are getting the right return for their investment. For that, the government needs to set up mechanisms to ensure nobody is going to invest without a profit. So profit will be the driving motive for more and more investment in this sector. So the government will have to make the arrangements for that, and also make sure that this policy of say fares always being subsidized or always being kept the lowest, etc., that may not continue in an environment where we see more and more private investment. Wherever private investments will come in, fares, costs will definitely go up. The industry will have to pay more for moving goods through the freight corridor, or if you or I want to use a high speed train running through a dedicated high speed train corridor, we will have to obviously pay more. Those things will be there, and that is not a major hindering factor at this point. It is possible because we are just at the beginning of bringing private investment into the railways. So we have a long way to go, and as we move along, we can do that.
And also, sir, yes, sir, you wanted to make a point.
This regulator thing is very interesting. You know,
Yes,
when
sir.
you go to some private player or some foreign agency, say, you please set up a regulator, you regulate yourself, you operate yourself, you are the boss, so where is the control? And you say, all right, but whom do we regulate? Do we regulate ourselves? We are already regulated. So what has happened is slightly different, and very intelligently it has been done. The government has formed corporations, like dedicated freight corridor. Once you have a corporation or a company, there are a set of rules to be followed. The audit of balance sheets are different. The form of accounting is world recognized standards. The people abroad, like the JICA or World Bank, they are very comfortable in lending to a corporation or a company,
Yes,
rather than lending directly to the government.
that's right.
But that loan must have a sovereign guarantee. The government must back that loan, then I am comfortable with the loan, and that too to a company. So given these parameters, the Indian Railways created a large string of corporations. You see, right, started with then Concor, IRCON, they were
Yes.
original ones. Then you have RVNL, dedicated freight corridor, and then string of Kutch Railway and Pipa Power Railway, and with joint venture with the state government and all kinds of things. So you have loans coming in, regulations coming in through a different model rather than regulator. Now regulator, when you need, you have 3-4 players doing the same job. Like Delhi, Mumbai, if you run 4 players are running a train, then you need regulation. Today it's not there. So regulator is going to come. You cannot run an industry in a private player when there are more than one player, and that to non-government, without a regulator. But when it will come depends when the industry is said, all right, tomorrow I'll start, please regulate, put a regulator. That's already, you'll believe.
Also, sir, do we need to revisit the contours of PPP model
Yes.
on the lines of recommendations by Kilkar Committee?
This recommendations are enough. There is no need for more recommendations. You have to decide which recommendation should be implemented at what stage. Because it's not that the people in government or in the railways, they don't know what they have to do, or they just ignorant. Indian Railways is one organization where people join and retire from that place.
That's right.
35, 40 years. So they understand very well what is required. Only thing is that that time should come, and they can't have finances, they may not have that skills, because the world is changing so fast that you may not be keeping a speed, so you have to leapfrog and go straight away into a different zone. But the fact is that you got to implement, you got to change. If you are not changed, then somebody will throw you out and say, please move out, somebody else will take over. So the changes are happening rapidly, and that is why the PPP is a big change. What the FM says, what the Rail Mantri says, what the Prime Minister very keen that Indian Railways should develop. The fact remains that we got to change, and we got to change for the better, and we got to change in a way, the pace faster than the fastest change, and we must, let's say, come after 5 years, reach a level which is appropriate for that time. Not that we bring a technology which is 20-year-old, thrown out by somebody and say, now I have changed. No, that's not a change.
Mr. Sharma, you wanted to make a
I will
point. I have last 1 minute.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Supplement. But we have to equip government also. when we are going on negotiation table with the NE, just only investment is not important. We have to, our officers have to be skilled enough, trained enough. Those who know, who can, not only question of regulation, inspect whether we are going in the right direction or not. So it is not question of, because the failure of government is leading to the privatization. So ultimately, if we failed again, then this is a failure of PPP model. So now it's a challenge for both, for private sector also, for government sector also. We cannot live and work in those what we were doing in 60s and 70s. World is changing. Our training, our skill, we have to be updated. Only then we can be, that PPP model can be in the interest of nation and Indian Railways.
So dynamism is the key.
Yes.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us. So efficient rail transport can be an important catalyst for economic growth and development. That's all we had for you in this edition of Policy Watch. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Rajya Sabha Television.